Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the First Unitarian Fellowship of Nanaimo. Our mission is to create spiritual connection and bring compassion, discovery, and social justice to life. My name is Nuria, and I am the service leader this morning. My pronouns are she, her, and elle in French. Please take a moment now to silence or turn off your cell phones. Thank you. I'm going to have to do mine.
A live demo.
Wish I could say that was pretend, but it wasn't. Let's say hello to everyone attending on Zoom. Turn to the camera at the back of the hall and wave. It will be in gallery mode, so those in the hall and those on Zoom can wave to each other, and now we can see them waving to us. Whatever your hopes, dreams, and aspirations, whatever your race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender identity, whatever makes you who you are warmly welcomed here. In keeping with our Unitarian Universalist aspiration of radical inclusion, we invite you to share your pronouns as well as your name when introducing yourself, if you are comfortable doing so. We are grateful for a diversity of voices on Sunday mornings, and our services vary from week to week. Our services are between 60 and 75 minutes long. If this is your first time with us, a very special welcome to you. If you're joining us online, please consider sharing your contact information with us. You can share it with the host by going to the chat icon at the bottom of your screen. We'd love to welcome you to our community. We have a website, ufon.ca. We invite you to check it out for more detailed information. The website is ufon.ca. More detailed information about who we are, the services we offer, and how you can connect with us. We acknowledge today that we meet on the traditional territory of this Nanaimo First Nation. As Unitarians, we are committed to the work of reconciliation required to address the harm done to all Indigenous peoples and their cultures by non-Indigenous peoples. We have much to learn from the Indigenous perspective, including that the earth is the source of all life and that our responsibility is to honor and care for it. It is time for announcements, and I will call on Summer.
Good morning and welcome. If you haven't met me yet, my name is Summer. I'm the new spiritual educator working with the children here. And my announcement today is that if you are interested in also helping out and volunteering with the children during the sermon, we would greatly appreciate it. This would just be whenever you have time, whenever you feel like you have some energy to help out. There's a sign-up sheet in the back on the Unitarian events. Just put your name, phone number, email, and even some notes on when you're available. It could be once a month, it could be once a year, whatever works best for you. You will need to get a background check done, but I believe it's reimbursed. Yes, it's reimbursed. So if you're interested, you can come talk to me or just sign up and I will get a hold of you. So thank you.
Here's our second announcement. Deadlines, deadlines. It's hard to meet them, but when we don't, it can create problems. For example, for our hardworking newsletter editor, Crystal Ironside. The newsletter deadline is the 15th of each month. What that means is that if you have an event happening at the end of June, for example, you're following me here, right? Deadline is the 15th of the month. You have an event at the end of June, for example. It has to be sent to her by the 15th of May. So think ahead, submit your stories by the 15th to news@ufon.ca. News@ufon, the UFON.ca. Perfect, we got that fixed. Here's an announcement from Ruth. The Goods, Services, and Events Auction, our annual fund and fun raiser, will take place the evening of Saturday, May 30th. Member and friend donations of goods, services, and events are needed. See the poster at the back for more details. You can also see a list of the offerings that have been made so far, posted across from the coffee and tea beside the doorway. There are also paper copies of the donor offering forms there. Fill in an offering form and return to Ruth in May. She's away until then. Fillable PDFs of the form can also be found attached to the weekly updates. Just fill in and email to Ruth. And a refresher of a announcement on fragrance. See, refresher. Did you know that our hall is a fragrance-free zone? Some people have severe reactions to scented items, including laundry fragrances, lotions, shampoos, colognes. Some people have had to leave the Sunday service because of them. We ask that each of us be respectful of others' sensitivities, including scents. Thank you, and a personal thank you, because I am one of those sensitive people. To find out all about special events, groups, and meetings taking place in the hall, you can go to the calendar on our website, read the weekly email sent to you on Friday, or check out the large whiteboards in the hall by the washrooms that way. Let us now enter into sacred time. Our music director, Leah Håkansson, will lead us into worship through music.
Good morning, everyone. Our prelude this morning is a congregational song, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. So please rise in body or in spirit, and we will sing together.
Open your ears to the song.
would like to introduce our speaker today. Many of us know Reilly very well, but perhaps some of you don't. Reilly is an organizer and facilitator with extensive experience running digital campaigns. Prior to entering seminary, she was the Director of Communications and Public Engagements at the David Suzuki Foundation. And she currently serves as co-founder of Climate Plan, a membership-based organization that helps people and their communities respond to climate change. She received her Master's of Divinity from the University of Toronto, graduating with the prize for highest standing, and completed her chaplaincy training, CPE Basic, at Victoria General Hospital. Her ministry work focuses on the twin challenges of spiritual resilience and resilience and systems change in the face of the polycrisis, the interlocking crisis of crises that defines our time. She lives in James Bay on the unceded territory of the Swenghung and Lekwungen speaking people with her partner Jamie and their children Avery and Elise.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you. So Earth Day passed this week on Wednesday. I don't know if maybe it felt for you, like Avi Lewis, the new leader of the federal NDP, said, felt a little more like Groundhog Day. We're replaying debates about pipelines. Meanwhile, temperatures and sea levels rise. So what could be left in this conversation about Earth Day that might surprise us, that might feel like something new? So we know that the earth is beautiful, and that makes us want to celebrate. We have a famous hymn in our hymnal that says, "The beauty of the earth, the glory of the skies, make us raise a hymn of grateful praise." But we've also maybe become habituated to beauty in our Earth Day services. And don't be afraid of some change, because today we're not going to walk in beauty, as another of our famous songs says. We are going to walk a little bit on the wilder and the weirder side of nature instead. There aren't a lot of songs in our hymnal about that, as Leah and I discovered. So the web of life that keeps this planet habitable, it isn't just the beautiful parts. It's also the weird parts. So the flowers only grow because of the fungi, the bacteria, and the microscopic invertebrates that are all in the soil. And they have their own weird rhythms and adaptations and huge impacts on us that we are just beginning to understand. So I find my own kids are less mesmerized by the beauty of the flowers than they are by the possibility of getting right into it with the dirt and the worms and being surprised and being curious and being engaged by what is unusual, what is unfamiliar, and what is therefore intriguing and maybe fresh. So let's light our chalice today, and thank you, Nuria, for that kid here or inside of all of us who didn't distinguish between the supposedly normal and the weird, who took the earth for what it is, a bundle of the beautiful, the brutal, and the bizarre, and who was curious about all of it. So I'm inviting you, if you can, to take on a bit of a spirit of play today, and to recognize that the hard work that Earth Day calls us to do can get a bit lighter when we still find ways to laugh, to wonder, to stay open and curious and intrigued. So now we make time in our service for some meditation and contemplation. It's a time for you to see what arises, get a little more settled into your body, into your spirit and your soul. I'll read a poem, and then we'll have a few minutes of silence, which Leah will lead us out of with some music. And this poem comes from Madeleine L'Engle's book series, A Wrinkle in Time. Some of you might know. Specifically, it's from the second book, A Wind in the Door, where the main character, Meg, travels into the mitochondria of her sick brother. It's a very weird story in all the best ways that young adult sci-fi can be weird. And I highly recommend it to people of all ages if you haven't read it yet. So again, I'll read the poem, and then we'll have a few minutes of silence. Leah will lead us out of that with music. Bee. Bee, butterfly, and behemoth. Bee, galaxy, and grasshopper. Star and sparrow. You matter. You are. Bee. Bee, caterpillar, and comet. Bee, porcupine, and planet. Sea, slug, and solar system. Sing with us. Dance with us. Rejoice with us for the glory of creation. Seagulls and seraphim. Angleworms and angel host. Chrysanthemum and cherubim. Bee. Sing for the glory of living and loving, the flaming of creation. Sing with us, dance with us, be with us. Be.
Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been clear. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. Little darling, the smiles returning to their faces. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Join in. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. Little darling, I feel the it's alright.
Leah, your music is such a gift. Thank you. Also, I like to see all the Kleenex strategically placed around the sanctuary and the people who offered some to me. Thank you very much. So, if you've read any kids' zoology books lately, I don't know if you have or haven't, but you might know that there are kind of strange animals that I learned about growing up, like an alligator or a zebra and a giraffe, but they've now been joined by much stranger creatures. So the pantheon of animals that young kids learn about these days, that are kind of in every newer kids' zoology book, includes, for example, a little weirdo that Howard's going to show us called a tardigrade, also called a water bear. Have any of you heard of him? I think some of you have. You're nodding. Yeah. Okay. So this guy is an animal. He's 0.5 millimeter long. So you can imagine how long those little claws are. And they have 4 to 8 claws on each of their 8 stubby little legs. And the exact number and shape of the claws is one of the primary ways that scientists distinguish between the over 1,300 known species of tardigrades. So let that sink in for a minute. There are over 1,300 distinct species of this charming little weirdo. So tardigrades live in the water that coats moss, lichen, leaf litter, and soil particles. Our forests, here in the Pacific Northwest, with our extraordinarily wet climates, these are ideal habitat for these little guys. And they're all around us, in the mosses on the bark of Douglas firs, Sitka spruces, and cedar trees. So if you went and you took a sample moss from one of those trees and you studied it under a microscope, it's likely that you could find a tardigrade species that hasn't been formally described or named yet. And there are small but very enthusiastic citizen science communities in Cascadia that do this. With just a modest microscope and some moss, they discover and they document new species. So maybe we could find one and we could name it the Fufon water bear. Or maybe name it after one of our famous UU ancestors, like the Servetus water bear, or the Philip Hewitt water bear, or name your favorite Unitarian Universalist. We could name a water bear after them. And these little guys have essentially been the same for about 500 million years. So 8 stubby legs, their claws, their gait, which is less like walking and more like lumbering, and that's part of why they're called water bears, and their barrel shape. So they've been recognizably themselves for much, much longer than humans have existed. Even if you counted starting with our earliest hominid ancestors, which is about 6 to 7 million years ago, tardigrades have been around for about 100 times longer. They are the default successful animal on this planet, and we are the strange recent experiment. So when conditions become hostile, tardigrades enter a state called cryptobiosis. They shut down all their biological processes. They expel nearly all the water from their body, they retract their limbs, and they transform into a tiny desiccated barrel called a tun. And they do this by producing large quantities of a sugar called trehalose, and that turns into a glass form when it's dry. So in this tun state, they can withstand temperatures from minus 272 degrees Celsius to plus 150 degrees Celsius. They can survive the vacuum of outer space, they can survive radiation doses hundreds of times lethal to humans, and they can survive pressure 6 times greater than the deepest ocean trench. They can remain in this suspended state for decades, and then they simply rehydrate back to life when conditions improve. So in a sense, they are dead. They have no metabolism, no electrical activity, and no movement. But when there's enough water, the trehalose rehydrates, and then the tardigrade comes back to life, as it were. They've actually caused these like philosophical discussions about whether life and death is really a clean line, because the tardigrade has this very odd in-between state. But then it can just come back when the water comes back. So we know that there is a duality to nature. The nature is life-giving, it's nourishing, it's Gaia, it's Mother Earth. But we also know that nature is red in tooth and claw. That Hobbes wasn't entirely wrong about the state of nature, that it can be nasty, brutish, and short. There are predators and there are prey, and carnal violence that is unavoidable. But what about what is in and amongst the beautiful and the brutal? The weird, the unexpected, the thought-provoking, the fascinating. Thanks for coming with me today on this little imaginary tour, not for the beauty of the earth, but for the weirdness of the earth, including this little guy who probably isn't going to win any beauty contests. But nevertheless, he has something to teach us about how strange and inventive and tenacious life on Earth can be. So tardigrades are a unique example of what's called horizontal gene transfer. Most of the time when genes transfer from one living being to another, it's vertical. So I pass my genes to my kids, my parents pass them to me from one generation to another. But when scientists sequenced tardigrade DNA, they found evidence of horizontal gene transfer, meaning the tardigrade had genes that had jumped sideways from other organisms into the tardigrade, something that scientists thought was impossible in animals. So they think that when tardigrades dry up, their DNA shatters into thousands of fragments, and then when it rehydrates, it has this extraordinary repair machinery that reassembles its genome by drawing in DNA fragments from microorganisms in its environment, like bacteria and fungi and algae. So scientists think this might very well be how the tardigrade developed its exceptional survival skills. It acquired traits from organisms radically different from itself, like bacteria, which have abilities that most animals don't have, like the ability to survive in extreme temperatures. So these foreign genes make tardigrades more stress resistant. Their resilience has been built by their radical openness. So in many ways, fascism, the kind that is making a dramatic comeback in recent years, it taps into fears about difference. It promises that in a better world, everyone will be the same. The story that fascism tells is that the reason things are bad is because of impure elements. Trans people, women who won't behave like a traditional fantasy of wives and mothers, immigrants who are all criminals or would-be criminals, or threats to a Western way of life, threats to our civilization. Fascist movements find an enemy who is both weak and contemptible and also an existential threat. That enemy is both inferior and dangerous because they threaten the fascist utopia, a world of radical homogeneity, a pure people, a unified culture, a single will expressed through a single leader. And that's a seductive image because diversity does require negotiation and change and conflict and adaptation. Nature is both organic and beautiful and also a struggle for survival. But you might know that Charles Darwin never said that the strongest are the ones who survive. When he said the fittest survive, he meant, like Herbert Spencer before him, those best adapted to their environments. So fitness is fitness for something, for some conditions, for some moment in time, which means that when conditions change, as they are changing now, then the meaning of fitness changes. So natural history suggests that the fittest will not be the most powerful or the most pure, but the most adaptable and the most interconnected. So fascism celebrates sameness. Everyone believing the same thing, living the same lifestyle, bowing before the same leader. But the interdependent web of life, of which we are one small part, explodes with more diversity than we can name. Animals like us survive and flourish when we adapt. And human diversity is much closer to us in our communities, much more interconnected than at any other point in the history of our species. Conditions call us to make the most of this moment when so much learning and growth and connection is possible. So that brings us back to our little tardigrade. This little weirdo is just one example of the missing piece in our picture of nature. Yes, nature is beautiful, and yes, it's brutal, and also it's bizarre. That's something to reflect on and to celebrate. So biodiversity, that's what we created Earth Day to celebrate, it's built on the strange, on the unfamiliar, on the weird, and how those things come together to make a whole that is stronger than the sum of its parts. So in these anxious times, weirdness is also good because it makes us laugh. So as Vanessa de Oliveira says, laughter is a way to break through the rigidity of certainty and to open ourselves to the absurdity, the beauty, and the paradox of life. Play and humor and surprise, those are often what actually bring transformation. Even though things are deadly serious, we still need moments when we stop taking ourselves seriously, because then we become more open and more relational and more alive. So please join us now and rise and embody your spirit to open up your soul for a song as Leah leads us in Earth Was Given as a Garden.
Tree of life and tree of knowledge.
So as our understanding of Earth has evolved, we know that we weren't actually given the Earth. Earth was here millions and millions and millions of years before us, with our little friend the tardigrade swimming around, really not knowing or caring that we were going to come along. We, the strange and relatively brief experiment. Let's learn from our little microscopic animal friends that radical openness and learning from each other are the keys to our survival. Be seagull and seraphim, caterpillar and comet, open to the lessons of the very mundane and the very sublime, the beautiful, the brutal, and the bizarre. We have so much to learn from all of it. May it be so, and blessed be.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. We are nearing the end of our service. After we sing Carry the Flame, you have the opportunity to join a social group. There are breakout rooms available online for the next 30 minutes, for those of you on Zoom. If you want to join an online group room, stay online and the host will put you there. We will have refreshments and conversation in the hall. I want to thank the many people who have given their time and energy to make today's service so special. Starting with Reilly, our presenter, and this exceptional service. I heard of tardigrades from my 5-year-old grandchild, and I figured, oh, one more gap in my education. Starting with Reilly, along with the Sunday Services Committee, I'm going to start again. I want to thank the many people who have given their time and energy to make today's service so special, starting with Reilly, our presenter, along with the Sunday Services Committee, the audiovisual team, Leah, our music director, the greeters, the offering collectors, those at the welcoming table, the kitchen volunteers who come early and leave late for cleanup, those who brought food and flowers. Our heartfelt gratitude to you all. So we'll sing now our final song, Carry the Flame. The words are on the wall in the hall. Our custom is to stand and hold hands or touch elbows as you are comfortable.